Recently, North Korea and Russia formally ratified a comprehensive defense treaty, a move that has raised serious concerns worldwide. This treaty, initially signed by North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and Russian President Vladimir Putin in June, obligates both nations to come to each other's aid in the event of an attack. According to state-run Korean Central News Agency, KCNA, Kim Jong-un signed the decree on Monday, ensuring North Korea's commitment, while Putin had already enacted the treaty as Russian law. This alliance is seen by some as a calculated maneuver to increase both nations' global leverage and defense capabilities in response to mounting pressures from the West. The ratification of this treaty has added fuel to the already growing apprehensions over increased military cooperation between Russia and North Korea. U.S., South Korean, and Ukrainian intelligence agencies have reported that thousands of North Korean troops are currently deployed in Russia, with some allegedly participating in combat alongside Russian forces in Ukraine. This unprecedented move introduces new dynamics into the Russia-Ukraine war, as it's the first time North Korean soldiers are known to be involved in combat outside their own country. Below, we'll examine the full scope of the North Korea-Russia alliance, the military and strategic implications, the response from the international community, and what this may mean for future global security. The key elements of the North Korea-Russia Treaty. The Treaty on Comprehensive Strategic Partnership between the Democratic People's Republic of Korea and the Russian Federation outlines mutual commitments between North Korea and Russia. While the primary feature of the treaty is mutual defense in the event of an attack on either nation, its provisions are broad, encompassing sectors that extend beyond military cooperation. Key terms include immediate military assistance. The treaty mandates that both countries must immediately provide military and other assistance using all available means if either is attacked. This provision escalates the stakes, as any conflict involving one nation could quickly draw in the other, risking a broader escalation in the Asia-Pacific or Europe. Strengthening political and economic cooperation. Beyond military obligations, the treaty emphasizes political unity and cooperative economic projects aimed at creating a just and multipolar new world order. The emphasis on a multipolar system reflects both countries' desire to counter U.S.-led alliances and carve out a more balanced distribution of global power. Civilian sector cooperation. The treaty calls for collaborations in sectors like space exploration, peaceful atomic energy, food security, and other industries critical to both nations. By pooling resources in these areas, Russia and North Korea aim to increase self-sufficiency, reducing their reliance on Western-aligned global trade systems. Technology and defense research. While not officially disclosed, many speculate that Russia could be sharing military and scientific technology with North Korea in exchange for its military support. For North Korea, access to Russian defense technology could potentially accelerate its nuclear and missile programs, an alarming prospect for South Korea, Japan, and the United States. This treaty is a significant step for North Korea, which has historically remained isolated in its alliances. For Russia, it represents an opportunity to bolster its military resources amid a prolonged conflict in Ukraine. Both countries stand to benefit strategically, but the alliance also poses risks of further isolating them from the global community. North Korean troop deployments and Russia's gains. Since early 2023, North Korea has reportedly dispatched thousands of troops to Russia. According to sources from South Korean, Ukrainian, and U.S. intelligence, up to 12,000 North Korean soldiers may be involved in Russia's operations in Ukraine, primarily concentrated in the Kursk region along the Ukraine-Russia border. Some reports indicate that these troops have already seen combat, sustaining casualties in skirmishes with Ukrainian forces. These deployments mark the first instance of North Korean troops being actively engaged in an international conflict since the Korean War. For Russia, North Korea's military support is a timely reinforcement. After nearly 3 years of sustained combat, Russian forces have been strained, and reports indicate a shortage of manpower and ammunition. To meet these challenges, North Korea has been supplying Russia with large quantities of artillery shells, missiles, and other conventional weaponry, easing Russia's supply chain pressures. This influx of arms has allowed Russia to maintain the intensity of its military operations, further complicating Ukraine's defensive efforts. However, North Korea's involvement also creates potential diplomatic challenges for Russia. The Kremlin has attempted to justify its actions in Ukraine as a defense against Western aggression, but aligning with North Korea, a nation known for its human rights abuses and authoritarian governance, may alienate Russia from potential allies or sympathetic nations. Additionally, Moscow's alliance with North Korea may further aggravate tensions with South Korea and Japan, both of whom have strong alliances with the United States. Geopolitical responses and rising tensions. The alliance between North Korea and Russia has drawn a range of reactions from the global community. The United States, South Korea, and Japan have expressed heightened concerns, particularly regarding the potential transfer of Russian defense technology to North Korea. South Korea has warned that if North Korean soldiers remain in Russia, Seoul may consider supplying military aid to Ukraine, a significant shift in policy, as South Korea has so far refrained from sending arms directly to the Ukrainian conflict. In the United States, lawmakers have called for stronger measures to counter the Russia-North Korea alliance, which they view as a direct challenge to international stability. Washington has already imposed multiple rounds of sanctions on both countries, but these efforts may need to intensify if military collaboration between Russia and North Korea continues to expand. The Pentagon has indicated that it is closely monitoring North Korea's activities in Russia and is working with NATO and other allies to address the potential security risks. Implications for the Korean Peninsula. The defense treaty between North Korea and Russia has significant implications for the Korean Peninsula. For South Korea, the prospect of North Korea gaining access to advanced Russian military technology is particularly concerning. If North Korea were to use Russian expertise to develop more sophisticated nuclear or missile capabilities, the threat to South Korea and Japan would increase substantially. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has been vocal in his opposition to the alliance, hinting that his administration could alter its policy of non-involvement in Ukraine. If North Korea dispatches special forces to the Ukraine war as part of Russia-North Korea cooperation, we will support Ukraine in stages and also review and implement measures necessary for security on the Korean Peninsula, Yoon said. This stance marks a dramatic policy shift, one that could reshape the regional balance of power and potentially involve the Korean Peninsula in broader conflicts. Russia's strategic gamble. For Russia, the partnership with North Korea is both a practical solution and a strategic gamble. On one hand, North Korean troops and arms provide tangible support to Russia's military objectives in Ukraine. On the other hand, aligning too closely with North Korea risks alienating Russia from other countries, including China, North Korea's primary economic partner. China has thus far remained cautious in its support for Russia, prioritizing its own diplomatic relationships and economic stability. By bringing North Korea into the fold, Russia may inadvertently strain its relationship with China, which has traditionally served as a moderating force on the Korean Peninsula. Any escalation of tensions involving North Korea and its neighbors could place China in an uncomfortable position, forced to choose between supporting Russia or maintaining regional stability. Looking ahead, a new global order? The North Korea-Russia treaty is emblematic of a broader trend of cooperation among nations that challenge U.S. influence. Iran, Syria, and Venezuela are among other countries that have strengthened ties with Russia in recent years, creating an informal coalition of states that resist Western norms and policies. As North Korea joins this coalition, it adds a new dimension to the global power structure, potentially shifting the balance toward a more multipolar world. However, this alliance is fraught with risks. For North Korea, the benefits of aligning with Russia may be offset by the potential for increased sanctions and isolation. The international community has already taken steps to limit North Korea's access to international markets, and further sanctions could worsen the economic situation for its already struggling population. Meanwhile, Russia's continued defiance of international norms through its alignment with North Korea could lead to even more severe repercussions, especially as NATO and its allies seek to deter further aggression in Ukraine. The future of the Russia-Ukraine war. With North Korean troops now involved in the Russia-Ukraine war, the dynamics of the conflict could shift significantly. North Korea's involvement introduces a new variable that Ukraine must consider, especially as Ukrainian forces continue to confront Russian advances in contested regions like Kursk. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky recently emphasized the threat posed by North Korean soldiers, describing their presence as a new chapter of instability in the ongoing war. Ukrainian forces have reportedly inflicted casualties on North Korean troops, but the long-term impact of their involvement remains uncertain. As the world watches the evolving alliance between North Korea and Russia, the treaty between these nations may indeed open a new page in instability, as Zelensky warned. The long-term consequences of this partnership will depend on how the global community responds and whether North Korea and Russia continue to deepen their cooperation.